Welcome back to my channel. There's no place like your home, and especially in my case, a tiny home. So making the most and getting the biggest return on small spaces, and it's doable. So this is the third part of the pumpkin roll video series, and I've gotten my icing done. So I'll show you here, and I've got some fresh coffee brewing as well. You'll take a block of cream cheese, 2 tablespoons of butter, and you want to get those room temperature so you can work them with your mixer, and a teaspoon of vanilla, and 1 cup of powdered sugar. And I didn't sift my powdered sugar this time. I just, measured it and then put it in, and I already whipped this up. And as I said, I don't share that part because it's so noisy, but I'm going to transfer the icing out of the mixing bowl into this little bowl to work with. A couple of things, if you don't already do this or know this, when I make an icing or a batter or whatever, and I'll run this just very briefly, once everything is mixed, I'll just lift my mixer up just above it a little bit so there's not too much splatter, to get any excess icings or batters off of the beaters. So that's just a little tip for you. And I wanted to also tell you that during the cooling process, I think it's been about an hour for the pumpkin roll, you're supposed to unroll it and kind of just, let it air for a second and then roll it back up. So I've already done that as well. And I want to get all of my icing out of this bowl. And there you go. So I want this to, I want you to be able to really see the process here. So something that I forgot about and I do want to share is using the real fine towel. And as I said, I had gotten these from the store and washed them in just plain hot water, no soap. You don't want to have anything soapy, because this moist cake, this porous cake, anything that you're using a towel with will absorb that soap. So think about that. So this was just, as I said, just washed in a very hot water. And then when I had rolled it up, I forgot what I want to do, and what you'll want to do when you make your pumpkin roll is have a piece of parchment or waxed paper on that towel. So you're going to actually have 2 layers, and then put that little bit of powdered sugar on there, not much, and then roll it up. And you can see originally I had just done it on that, and when I went to unroll it, I realized, it's going to stick into that towel. So just be aware, you always want to have the 2 layers. Now, when I go to sell these to family and friends, I edge all 4 corners off. You don't have to do that, but I just like that nice finished edge, just in case you have a little bit of crisp, but this one actually is not, it doesn't have that at all. So that's good. But I think it just, as far as a presentation goes, it just looks so much nicer. There's that last, and then nothing goes to waste. So you can snack on that after a bit, or maybe somebody else would like to eat it in the house. Another thing too, you are always rolling lengthwise. Now I can see it's a little thicker at this end, but this thinner end was easy to roll it up. You are to roll it lengthwise, but I was thinking, if you could roll widthwise, if you could roll it lengthwise. And it's going to be a smaller roll with smaller portions, and that might be nice too. If you don't want to have, you know, big pieces. But yeah, I would say with your initial roll, that might be something to consider, just a different way. And you're going to have little pieces there. So I've got my icing, and again, it's an 8-ounce block or a brick of creamed cheese, 2 tablespoons of butter. I use unsalted butter. Teaspoon of vanilla, and then that cup of powdered sugar, which will just bring this whole flavor to its height. And then I like this angled spatula, this off spatula, and that's how I, you know, will work this. You can see how I'm working the creamed cheese in. And I spread it out when I do it. So each bit, when they meet up, it gives more of a even cream. You know, and really, if you're going to have sweets, you know, that can be our kind of our weakness. You know, we all have a vice. You know, if you can, for yourself and for your family, try to make things homemade. When you look at all the ingredients that go into processed and packaged baked goods, there are just so many chemicals and so many preservatives, and that's really, you know, this is my brand. I like things fresh as possible, quality ingredients, and I know that I just have pumpkin, spice, good flour, fresh farm eggs. Now the cream cheese, you know, is a brand name. We all know what that is. But it is, you know, back, and I'm sure people do, but back in the time, you know, they made their own. That's how we learned about all of this. So if you really wanted to go full throttle, you could even make your own cream cheese and your own butter. And if you grow a vanilla tree, get your vanilla. And again, you know, getting back to the vanilla, that's what I had said earlier in the other video. I use the clear vanilla for something like this. The dark vanilla would give this a tint, and I don't want that. So I think she looks good there, and nicely covered and evened out with the cream cheese. So you want to get back to your rolling. Okay, now I've got a little bit of breakage here. It's very moist. And I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of powdered sugar here to kind of dry that out. Yep, and that helped with the rolling. One thing I learned recently, I don't know what was going on, I was using too much powdered sugar when they first came out of the oven, and it was crystallizing. So I would say this is probably more the time to get that extra powdered sugar on it when the cake is cool. And already that looks so pretty. And then in order for this to set well, yeah, see, I'm losing a little bit of my cake. Let me get my powdered sugar back here. But then in order for this to set better, once it's all said and done, make sure you see that, it's going to be refrigerated. And they can be frozen. I would say look that up for yourself. I don't freeze my baked goods. if you get something from me, it was baked fresh that morning for you. And I'm going to swing this back a little bit into that powdered sugar. And then there's my seam on the top. You see that? Now's the time to go a little crazy with your powdered sugar. And then I'll just roll that for a more even look. Also, if I do some baking for you, I wear my gloves. But this is going to be for the family, so. But my hands are clean anyway. But you can see just that nice roll there. And these edges are all cut and cleaned, which is what I like. So let's just scoot that over. And then how I do this is I take some aluminum foil and layer it with wax paper. And then I've got it seam side down. And it's heavy. Boy, they're heavy. You definitely get your money's worth. I think I'm going to turn it this way. I don't think I cut enough wax paper and everything. So I'll roll it this way. And then tuck those ends in. And then it says to refrigerate for about an hour. So there you have a pumpkin roll. That's a big dessert. You know, if you're ever giving this as a gift, that's just a very nice gift. Or you're serving this at a family gathering, I would say you really only need one. And I'm going to try, the next one I bake, I'm going to try rolling it the other way so the pieces are smaller. As I said, some people might like that, just a smaller piece. And then that, I'll just soak that in some hot water. That'll all lift up. So, well, there you have it. There's no place like your home. And again, if you like my channel, please like and subscribe. Leave your comments, share, and let me know what your fall and Thanksgiving is looking like this year. There's a lot of great recipes out there. You don't have to spend a lot of money. It takes a little bit of time, but you know, sometimes running to the store and getting all that stuff is the same amount of time as taking it to do it at home for yourself. So I'll see you soon. And it's almost Halloween, which I'm really excited about. I'd love to give out treats and see the kids all dressed up. But I'll see you soon.